Now, I know what you're thinking. If you are a Knicks fan and Jalen Brunson stan, you may be running to the comment section to voice your distaste and outrage with the title of this video. But hold your horses, pal. Just hear me out. You may be surprised with what you find. Only an idiot would say that Jalen Brunson is not currently one of the most impactful forces in the NBA today. In fact, it wouldn't be an outlandish thing to say that he is a top 5 player offensively in the NBA. Since joining the Knicks, Brunson has averaged 26.2 points per game and 6.8 assists. Brunson has maintained his scoring prowess with extreme efficiency. In the 2024-25 season, he led the NBA in time of possession, seconds per touch, and dribbles per touch, yet had the second lowest turnovers of any award-qualifying top 10 scorer. Since joining the Knicks, Brunson ranks first in clutch field goal percentage with at least 150 attempts, second in total clutch points, third in true shooting percentage among 25-plus points per game scorers, and seventh in total points scored. In 2024, Brunson was the Knicks' first guard with 30-plus points in 7 straight games. In fact, in the 2024-25 NBA season, Brunson was 11 of 17 in the last 30 seconds of close games, including 4 for 8 from 3, leading the league in clutch field goals made, ultimately winning Clutch Player of the Year. Brunson's offensive rating has sat in the top 10 among players logging 30-plus usage percentage points each year. His PER and offensive box plus minus are consistently top 20 for guards. The Knicks have had a top 10 offense every year with Brunson. If anything, Brunson will go down as one of the greatest players to put on a Knicks jersey. But what is the problem with Jalen Brunson and the Knicks? What do they seem to be missing when it matters most? I'm Just Drew, and today I will be answering that question.
Bothered by Lou. Iverson. Yes. How about that? Steps over to Ron Lou.
Before we get into the video, be sure to support the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. I like Helmet Head Jalen and what he's doing for the small guard community. I will not tolerate the disrespect y'all keep sending his way with this 6'2" and ugly mess. How dare you disrespect King Jalen Brunson? How dare you make edits about
5'7" and handsome or 6'2" and unattractive?
6'2" and unattractive.
I wanna party with Heather. We spending 50s and better.
As I started out noting in this video, Jalen Brunson is clearly a generational shot maker, especially in the fourth quarter. As a Pistons fan, it truly ripped my heart into pieces seeing Azar Thompson getting crossed out of the screen and sent back to OTE on a one-way flight when Jalen Brunson hit the dagger to close out the series. I'm sorry, K&M. But the problem with Brunson is that he is an absolute cone on defense. Brunson is already at a natural disadvantage due to his frame, standing at a doubtful 6'2", 190 pounds. Brunson is extremely undersized for a guard in the modern era of basketball, especially for his playstyle. Guys like Davion Mitchell share similar frames to Brunson, yet exhibit much more intense defensive effort and pressure, which he lacks. And while people may point to a guy like Steph Curry to argue that Brunson doesn't need to be impactful on defense, Curry is so skillful in the art of shooting that all of his weaknesses became negligible. Moreover, Curry has never been regarded as a bottom-tier defender in his career. Curry grades out neutral to slightly positive by box plus minus standards and piles up more defensive win shares than Brunson. Brunson has trended the other direction. His defensive box plus minus went from negative 0.5 to negative 0.4 to negative 1.3, putting him in the bottom quintile of rotation guards. The gap is stark in defensive rating, as in the 2024-25 season, it swung about 5 points per possession in the Warriors or Curry's favor. On a per-game basis, that's roughly the swing between a top 15 defense and a bottom 10 one, separating Curry and Brunson's defensive impact. RAPTOR, or Raptor, places Brunson around negative 1.8 to negative 2.3, a bottom decile for starters, while Curry hovers around negative 0.2 to positive 0.3, which is league average. Raptor stands for Robust Algorithm Using Player Tracking and On/Off Ratings, and measures the number of points a player contributes to team offense and team defense per 100 possessions relative to a league average player. In other words, Curry is not seen as a defensive liability by statistical measures, while Brunson is. Also, addressing the argument that Curry had a better defense around him is very true, but it isn't the zinger you think it is. Bruh, did I just seriously say zinger? GG's chat. But anywho, What is Tom Thibodeau infamous for? Primarily sticking to his starting lineup with a few rotations. Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and especially OG Anunoby are widely regarded as great to elite defenders, designed around Brunson to mitigate the impact of his defensive weaknesses. Yet he is so weak individually on defense that all it takes is a screen to get a mismatch, and the possession is somewhat decided. Indiana in particular exploited Brunson defensively, singling him out in pick and roll actions, playing whoever offense on him. The Knicks are clearly a contending team to win or make the NBA Finals, but they have not been able to exactly get there. But what role does Brunson and his defense play into this roadblock, as the New York Knicks front office feels more and more pressure to reach the promised land? To answer this question, I wanted to compare Jalen Brunson, a clear number one option, to the number one option of the past 10 NBA champions. These number one options include SGA, Jason Tatum, Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, and KD. So now, I want to take the time to show you some graphs. Before we get into it, I want to point out that I'm highlighting the last 2 seasons Brunson has played with the Knicks, as they have been his best statistical seasons. Starting with the box plus minus graph, as you see, Brunson ranks below average in offensive box plus minus. It then doesn't help that he also ranks below average in defensive box plus minus, holding the only negative defensive box plus minus out of the entire sheet, further diminishing his overall box score impact. Then, in the win share graph, as expected, Brunson offensively competes at a championship level on average. However, Brunson significantly falls below defensive expectations. That significant drop effectively removes and negates any impact that his offensive metrics held. Next, let's look at individual offensive rating and defensive rating. I want to point out that the higher the offensive rating, the better, and the lower the defensive rating, the better. What do we see here? Well, here, Brunson has been an above average offensive performer, on par with KD, but once again, his defensive rating is so significantly worse than average that any advantage from his generational offensive performances is negated. In fact, Brunson has the worst defensive rating on this list. Last, we also see that Brunson's PER is below average when compared to these other stars. So the overall takeaway is that Brunson is a horrid defensive performer relative to past recent championship level stars, meaning that Brunson isn't necessarily doing what it takes on both ends as a number one option to get to that next level. But there is one more graph: team offensive ranking and team defensive ranking. The Knicks have met the criteria offensively of a championship contending team. Still, defensively, they are lacking based on the expectations. Is this all Brunson's fault? The simple answer, no. While Brunson's defensive woes definitely hurt the Knicks in a crucial manner, it is not why the Knicks can't seem to break the glass ceiling. Remember the point I made earlier about Brunson having great defenders around him? Here's food for thought. What's a great defender if they are playing 40 minutes a game with few rotations? Tom Thibodeau has been criticized everywhere he goes, from getting D Rose injured with his decision to keep him in during garbage time, to the 2024 Knicks experiencing a series of injuries in the playoffs. A lot of his team struggles can be attributed to the way he rotates his lineups. So while I personally love Thibs, I understand that this is not completely on Brunson. Yes, Brunson needs to be better, but the Knicks do too. And that is why Mike Brown was brought in and Thibs is no longer there. And if the Knicks actually end up putting it all together, maybe the title of this video will change. Maybe there will no longer be a problem with Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. Maybe we will see Jalen Brunson rise to the occasion under a new rotation, but only time will tell. And I hope, for the Knicks' sake, that time tells quickly. If you got to this point, comment down below what you think of the Knicks firing Thibs. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay true, stay you, from Just Drew.
Thank you.